So that foundation to that success comes from a modern ERP, but it just starts there. So as we all know, there's so many fantastic SaaS applications out there that accomplish very precise problems, solve very precise problems for your business, enable users to be more effective than ever. But, and this is the big but, adding those applications into your tech stack is fantastic, but it can create more problems at times than it solves. And you can, if you'll often find, well, the X department said, if we added this application, it was going to make them a lot more efficient. And once you get through that implementation and some change management transition, and you still, very often it's like, gosh, we're not quite getting the impact we thought we would from this. And that what's happening there almost always is that you've solved one problem, but you've created a new island. You've created a data silo. And so as you move forward with these applications around your ERP, you have to have a solid strategy for creating an integrated tech stack, or you're simply going to create more problems and you're taking a step forward and often taking a step back at the same time without even realizing it. So with that, before we transition over to Saran, who's going to talk more about what you should look for in a modern ERP, we wanted to run a quick poll here. So has your company already adopted an ERP? Be great to see where everybody is sitting out there, where you're at with this. We'll take a few seconds for everybody to respond. Okay, let's look at the results. Wow. We use a modern, by far the most popular one here is we use a modern cloud-based ERP. That's fantastic. So we've got a lot of, let's say, I wouldn't say early adopters, but more progressive teams here. So that's absolutely fantastic. And with that, I think as we look at a modern ERP, some of this will help as we see how that integrates in and how to integrate the rest for digital transformation. This will help you really realize how to get the most value from a modern solution. And with that, Saran, why don't you take us away here?
Yeah, I mean, those results were pretty insightful, right? It's fantastic to know that most of you use a modern ERP, and that's going to make it a lot easier for me to cover what really defines or what's the signature of a modern ERP. Now, as I mentioned earlier, having worked with many customers over the very many years, we see a common theme, right? Eventually, any modernization exercise or digital transformation exercise revolves around a central hub, a central business operating system, or a central ERP. In some cases, that may not have been the intention when they started the project, but eventually they see that that is the best way to go about doing this digital transformation, and that's pretty insightful. Now, when we try to define a modern ERP, like what does a modern ERP look like? Like what's the typical characteristics of a modern ERP? One way to define that would be by looking at what are some of the challenges that businesses face today, right? Let's look at some of the challenges that businesses face. Let's figure out, if I were to build an ERP from scratch today, how do I go about doing it? Like, how can I fulfill the needs of the customers, businesses? How can I address their challenges? And that gives me a path forward for defining what a modern ERP looks like. Like today, when I go and look at what are the common themes across all businesses, doesn't matter how big or how small you are, doesn't matter what industry you're in, who you deal with, but there are some common themes we can gather. For example, every business wants to nurture and grow their customers, right? Whether you're a startup, whether you're a mid-market, or whether you're an enterprise looking for global domination, there's always a constant need to increase your customer base, go after new markets, go after new territories. And that brings up an interesting question. Does my ERP enable me to do that? Like, can I go after new markets? Let's say I'm based in US, and if I want to start selling my service or product in Asia, can I quickly expand globally? Can I report with the based on local regulation, local legal structure, and things like that? So that's a constant challenge businesses face. The other thing could be creating products or creating new services. Like in this global landscape where companies are thinking globally, acting locally, there's a lot to be leveraged by tapping into multiple regions, multiple countries. So does your ERP support that? Like if you want to start manufacturing in some part of Europe and being able to source your raw material from, let's say, some part of South America, is your ERP capable of supporting that sort of a model, right? Again, that's a pretty interesting challenge we see across the install base. The other key aspect of any business is their employees, are the employees, right? Like, are we able to hire the right people? Are we able to hire from the right location? Again, with COVID, we saw the increase in remote work. So are your employees able to interact with your ERP from any part of the world, right? Like global access, that becomes extremely critical. And of course, every business wants to be profitable, right? They want to manage their cash flow. They want to stay positive. They want to increase their profit. So does your ERP provide you real-time insights into your financial? Again, these are some common patterns that we see. Now, having seen the common challenges that businesses have, if you go and look at what their basic needs are, like what are the common themes that we have seen, every business that we interact with, every business that we take them through this journey of digital transformation, one of the common asks they have is visibility into their operations. Leaders want real-time insight. They don't want to wait for days. They don't want to wait for weeks. They don't want to even wait for hours before they get access to what's happening within their business. They want instantaneous, real-time access to everything that's happening across their business, right? So real-time visibility into core financials, inventory management, maybe human capital management, if they have a warehouse or manufacturing business, that's extremely critical. And again, that's a common need that we encounter. Now, the other common theme that we hear is they want a reliable product, a reliable, highly reliable ERP. Now, what good is data if you cannot access it in a timely manner, right? So data information needs to be instantly available. It should be always available. So high reliability is a common ask that we come across. Now, you heard Mark talk about the importance of being agile in this modern era. Now, you as a business operator, you need to be agile, and your ERP needs to be agile enough to support that, right? If you want to make a quick pivot, you want to quickly react to an external market force, like what happened during COVID, is your ERP able to support that, right? Be able to make quick changes, quick configuration changes, add on new modules, be able to get live rapidly. That's extremely critical. Now, again, in a global landscape, your different businesses spread across the globe, being able to collaborate with all these businesses, that's extremely important. And finally, integration. We have seen cases where you had Mark mentioned earlier how some companies are like 100 plus SaaS applications. Like we have seen a lot of cases where a central ERP ends up replacing a lot of these SaaS applications. But the reality is, even if you have a digital hub based on your core ERP, there's always going to be a need to integrate with external applications. So does your ERP support that, right? So the 5 basic needs that we have seen across our customers, the 4 business challenges that we have seen across our customers, that kind of lends us well to define or rather lay the foundation for what a modern ERP needs to look like. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you were to go and design a brand new ERP from scratch, knowing what the businesses need, knowing what their challenges are, what are some of the design considerations you would factor in? Mark mentioned earlier about controlling technology stack. And from an ERP perspective, that becomes extremely important. For an ERP service provider to have full control over the technology stack end to end, that gives them a lot of ability to be innovative. If they need to update their technology stack, if they need to incorporate modern and new innovations that's happening across the industry, control over technology stack is going to help them out. The other design parameter to consider is what we call as a single source of truth or a unified data model. Like global companies want instantaneous insight into the data. Having your data partitioned and resident on multiple domains, that's not conducive for real-time insights. So an ERP that uses a single source of truth or a unified data model, which instantaneously reflects all the changes happening across your business, that has a huge advantage. Now, I mentioned earlier about being agile. A modern ERP, by definition, should be nimble and should be agile. And the way that's done is using an architecture paradigm called the metadata-driven architecture. So what it really translates to is, instead of looking at customizations and configurations as bad words, a modern ERP would embrace it. In fact, it would be ready to add any customizations and configurations that are required by a business. And that's what makes it nimble, and that's what makes you nimble, right? So metadata-driven architecture combined with a unified data model built on a single source code, that lays a firm foundation for a modern ERP.
Awesome. So I want to emphasize one thing here, and that's that extensibility of the NetSuite platform. Having been earlier in my career working with customers, very focused on getting them the power of this can't be overstated. And I know there's a lot of people out there that have probably been through legacy implementations of ERP where customization is a dirty word. You've been locked in, feature locked before, you can't upgrade because you customize the platform. And that is not the case with NetSuite. I remember in my practice having hundreds of customers that we'd done some level of customization before, and the way that it's architected, sitting on top of a multi-tenant application at a release, rolling out, and not having any problems across 100 customers, having just a handful of minor issues that needed to be changed. This is extremely powerful, and actually recommend that you don't customize the platform if you don't need to, but it's there in case your business change. You can always fall back on it, and that is amazingly powerful on top of everything else. And just with the audience to realize that. And if you're not tapping into that, if you're already on, or you have a platform where you can't, this is really very valuable for your future potential as a business as you grow or you get more specialized in areas.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, Mark. And that brings us to the topic of future proofing, right? Like, how does your ERP future proof you? And exactly what you said. By having an architecture that supports ease of customization, by being able to refactor any changes you may have made with every single upgrade or release that the ERP launches, that's how you're future-proof, right? If you want to quickly add customization, you should be able to do that without needing a highly technical resource, what is called in the industry as a zero code or a no code configuration. A modern ERP has to have a rapid way to implement rapid changes. And integration, again, a lot of ERPs have a lot of capabilities, but rarely do they work in silo. So any ERP that's able to quickly integrate with external application, makes APIs available, makes pre-built connectors available, partners with external integration platforms to facilitate integration. Those are all great signs of future-proofing you. And of course, having a built-in platform makes it even more powerful, right? When I say platform, think of it as the developer tools that are offered, which partners can tap into. For example, if you look at smartphones, Apple has a lot of features in it, Apple or Google. But then once you add all the partner-built apps, that makes it even more powerful. So modern ERP gives you developer tools that can be used by you as end users or by a rich and vibrant partner community to build and deploy extremely powerful instant extensibility. And then again, when you look a little deeper, what that translates to is a vibrant ecosystem. For example, in NetSuite, we have a built-in app market, and that's a pretty radical concept if you think about it from a ERP perspective, from a legacy ERP perspective. Imagine being able to go into an app market within your ERP, being able to download an app, instantly install it, and start using it. I mean, we're all so used to it in the modern era, but when you look at it from an ERP perspective, that's a pretty innovative feature, and a modern ERP needs to have that, right? And then I'm sure we are all hearing a lot about AI. Any modern ERP has a built-in AI foundation, and that's going to bring a lot of automation in terms of insights and business process optimization. And that all leads to how an ERP can be your central hub for your information, for your business. Now, legacy ERPs, there are a lot of challenges in terms of being real-time, being integrated, being extensible, being agile. A modern ERP, with all the features that we just discussed, that lays the fantastic foundation for being your central hub for your digital transformation. And again, AI, that's been the hot topic these days. Everyone is talking about AI. The reality is AI has been around for many, many decades. Over the last 6 to 8 months, with the advent of ChatGPT, every business is curious, like, hey, how can AI help me transform? What does AI bring to the table? And again, a modern ERP like NetSuite has a strong AI foundation. AI is percolated across the product. It helps with deep predictive insights. It helps with a lot of process automation. And we strongly believe that AI is here to stay. And a modern ERP is deeply rooted in how they can deliver AI capabilities.
Fantastic. Thank you, Saran. And the AI piece is a perfect segue into our next section, which is talking about the integration side of things. And the reason for that is we've seen AI become this level up as far as the generative AI, the new level of generative AI tools have sort of entered the popular consciousness. And now, you know, when your neighbor is asking you, your non-technical neighbor is asking you about AI, let alone when the board is asking your CEO about how are you leveraging AI as a company. And it's interesting, but to do real work with AI, to make real impact on your business, you've got to move beyond, what I call some generative AI parlor tricks with writing some basic emails for you and accelerating research. But to get real AI-driven insights to your business, you have to have a solid foundation of data, because that is what any AI model uses and any technology. And that comes from having a solid central store for your data, a single source of truth, such as a central ERP, and having it properly tied together with the other critical systems so that you have the data synchronized. And otherwise, AI, whether it's embedded in your other tools or anywhere else, you're not going to get the value from it. And this is really a critical thing in laying the foundation for the future for how to leverage these tools, is having these right systems and having the correct approach to your data and having solid, correct data.